Donna Green-Townsend is the past president and current vice president of the Friends of the Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings Farm. She's a journalist with 50 years of radio and television experience in commercial and public broadcasting in Missouri, Kansas, and Florida as news director, producer, anchor, reporter, and instructor. She received her Bachelor of Journalism degree from the University of Missouri School of Journalism. She's a National Edward R. Murrow Award winner in documentary production. She retired from the University of Florida after 31 years, where she was a multimedia news manager in the College of Journalism and Communications, and she taught advanced radio reporting. For the past 3 years, Donna has been working with Kathlyne Walkup Sheppard on the documentary you are about to see, From Novel to Movie, The Yearling in Florida, which just won a statewide award from the Florida Park Foundation for exceptional service and dedication documenting and preserving cultural heritage. Kathlyne Walkup Sheppard, Kathy, we call her Kathy, born in Ocala, descended from a native pioneer family in the Big Scrub of Marion County, where she was reared. She graduated from the University of Florida, go Gators, with a fine arts degree, worked in design and event work. Now she's retired and she volunteers for several Macintosh and Ocala organizations. Kathy was elected to the MKR Rawlings Farm Board in 2021 and enjoys all things Marjorie. As a child, she read the novel, The Yearling, and learned about the making of the movie from stories her brother-in-law, Jack Owen, told her. She never forgot those stories or her family, friends, and neighbors who shared how the movie was made on Pat's Island, an area surrounded by the natural beauty of the great Ocala National Forest. It was that novel made into a movie that helped develop her deep love of nature. So I hope you enjoy this beautiful project that Donna and Kathy are going to share with us today.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So bear with us when we get ready to start the movie that we get the sound and the picture looking right and all those things. I'm just going to talk very briefly, because I want to let Kathy do some talking. You'll hear enough of my voice in the documentary, trust me. But we have a DVD coming today through UPS. We were hoping it would be here, but we do have the DVD finally made of this presentation, if any of you want to take one home. And all of the proceeds go back to the Friends of the Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings Farm, which I'm really excited about. I think for me, one of the highlights of doing this program was offering it up to the National Educational Telecommunications Association, which provides programming for public television stations around the country. And so we offered it, they took it, and it went out starting last July. And as far as I could track, at least we know 28 states carried the program, and all of the public television stations in Florida. I know some of you probably already have seen it, but I'm just thrilled to get Marjorie's story out to so many people. I can't tell you how much that means to me. So it's kind of a summary of how excited I am about this story, because I retired. I thought I was done, working. And so, but no, I had to meet Kathlyne Walkup Sheppard, who had this wonderful story. And the one key thing that drew me in, and she's going to talk more, is the fact that she had a brother-in-law who caught the fawns for the making of the movie. How exciting is that? I was already hooked. And we've become really good friends, and the more I learn about her, the more excited I get, because she knew all these people who had been involved in the making of the movie, but their lives were the story, So I kind of sum it up as this story is about people, place, and preservation. So Kathy, can you come up? Please make Kathlyne Walkup Sheppard welcome. I can just give you a brief little story about how this came to be. Oh, we'll need the light back on just for the notes. Can you see from that? Let's not have that cover your face.
Huh?
I'll hold it. How about that? You don't know what this will tell you, but this is water flutter.
Thank you, Rollins Society and Board. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak to you, and totally never expected any of this to happen. Our documentary has a history that embraces many, many people whose lives became centralized around a specific place in the old Florida scrub wilderness. The story begins in 1728, when my English Griggs great-great-grandfather and mother migrated to Ireland, crossed the pond, and settled in North Carolina. My grandmother married my English-Scotch-Irish MacDonald great-great-grandfather, and my family migrated to the Grahamville area that Marjorie writes about in the book that's located in the Big Scrub. There, almost 200 years later, I have so many descendants that it would sound like the begats in the biblical lineage of Jesus, written by Matthew. My father's siblings were only one of those generations, yet he was number 2 son of 13 born, 11 of which reached adulthood and had families. In our small community near Grahamville, cited in Marjorie's novel, I grew up hearing the Yearling stories because my only sister, who was 19 years older than me, married the fawn catcher, Jack Owen. It is said about my family, and here I will slip into the old Florida vernacular that is so familiar in Marjorie's writing, that you can't sling a cat without hitting a MacDonald, Kinsey, or Long descendant. And I'm kin to those families and about a dozen more. When I was 9, my mother put 5 books in my hand. Freckles, The Girl of the Limberlost, The Yearling, a King James version of the Bible, and the Broadman Baptist Hymnal. She told me, now, read the books, learn the songs, play the piano by ear until I can find a music teacher. I did that, and seeds of love for nature, music, poetry, and all things Marjorie took root. My brother-in-law, Jack Owen, was a first-class storyteller. He could have you doubled over in laughter before you could blink. And my family often picnicked at Juniper, Lake George, Salt Springs, and nearby Silver Glen. We frequented the sinkhole near the Long Family Cemetery, which you see in the movie, when I was a child, while fragments of the movie set still existed. At our early MacDonald family reunions, my uncle's son made us children a fluttermill, which was a water toy talked about in the first few pages of Marjorie's novel. And we played with that toy in the waters of Wells Landing, which was deep in the woods off Highway 314. I brought an example of it. And just to show you, a descendant of the original flutter mill maker made this for me for the Cross Creek event we had when we brought Claude back. It was the star for Jody. So these pegs were made from crepe myrtle. And the pegs go down in the water, and then the cross piece, this part right here, actually is made of palmetto frond, but it's the woody part of the frond that is used here just for longevity. The actual blades of the flutter mill were made from just the leaf part, and these pegs would go straight down in the water, deep, and then this part right here would touch the water and the water would move the wheel. So that was what we children played with growing up. I had an aunt and uncle, the Heinemann couple, who were the set caretakers for 2.5 years. Aunt Gertie was a woodswoman who could shoot, hunt, run the dogs, fry up the fish or the venison, as well as any southern backwoods man. And she was so impressed by Marjorie, whom she met and spoke with many times, that she would copy her style of dress for special occasions. All these generations of people attended East Marion School, which is now 101 years old. For my sister, it was a high school. And later for me, it was an elementary school. 2 grades to the classroom with 1 teacher, grades 1 through 8. As a school reunion board member, in 2014, we were looking for a booklet topic. No one had a resourceful idea, so I thought, why don't we do it about the making of the Yearling movie? So, with that said, I began to track down every living person or descendant of the original persons who worked on the movie to collect their oral tradition, any memorabilia, photographs, whatever. And they shared them with me, and I scanned them and saved them. So for the first time, a good portion of the history of how the movie was made by those behind the scenes was actually preserved. I thought that would be the end of it. For East Marion, the forgotten school and area across the Ocklawaha River, the term we call it, is cross the river. That was a wonderful thing. And it all could have ended with just that reunion. But a wheel had begun to turn that would gather momentum and continue to bring forth more and more truths and information about the film. Lawrence Kinsey, a nearby neighbor and relative, was one of the set builders. Turns out he had an original movie premiere booklet that he allowed me to reproduce. I returned that original, but it was soon lost in a mysterious fire of a storage building on Lawrence's property. At least 3 copies of that booklet exist. Another Kinsey descendant, a schoolmate, Buddy Kinsey, is the one who reproduced the flutter mill I just showed you. He made that for the reunion at East Marion that day. Another relative, Glenn Owen, the Heinemann's grandson, shared all of his grandmother Gertie's photographs. She once had an original screenplay of the Yearling. She loaned it out to a friend, and it was never returned. Years later, when my husband's Georgia family visited in 2019, I discovered they'd never ever been to the Rawlings farm. So we went through the woods from McIntosh to Cross Creek for the full experience. It was September 14th, 2019. I stood on Marjorie's porch and thanked the docent for great insights into Marjorie's life. And suddenly, the stars aligned perfectly. I told the guide I'd learned so much about Marjorie from him that day. And then I said, but I bet I can tell you some things about the movie that you never heard before. Then I spouted out names with a string of them, of all my relatives, the roles they played, the tasks they performed in the film's making. And when I was done, he said, "Lady, would you give me your name and number?" I did, but honestly, I thought that would be the end of it. I never expected anything beyond that. But months later, I get a call from Donna Green-Townsend. And then she shows up at my McIntosh home with a camera rolling. And as they say, the rest is history. Literally. And with divine provision and oversight, we have preserved to the best of our ability our discoveries. The documentary continues in the preservation process. Even my youngest son, Clay, who is a teacher at Ambleside School, 6th grade level in Ocala, teaches a whole semester on the Yearling novel to his students. And for the first time, my 12-year-old granddaughter, Violet, got to see the novel, read the book, and go to Marjorie's house. I've not been allowed to speak one word to Violet about the Yearling until she read that book. Marjorie's excellent writing style portraying the unique speech patterns of the Cracker people continues to inspire creativity, even in me. You'll see the documentary. But at the tail end of the DVD, there's a special little project called Aura's Deep Lament. That you will not see today, but it was a blank verse poem that became a song under the urging of Donna, allowing me to honor both Aura, Ma Baxter, and her character, and draw the viewer's eye to the harsh adversities of pioneer life. Those conditions paralleled the difficulty that my own ancestors faced. There you will see in the scenes family keepsakes, remnants of those lives. They're included in the bedroom scenes of the Cross Creek tenant house where old Aura sews. Old Aura might be slightly familiar when you watch it. Our journey started 4 years ago, yet sometimes as new information continues to emerge, it seems that Donna and I have just begun. Thanks to the board for all who have faithfully encouraged and supported us. We hope you enjoy it.